Oh, saw, dude. Oh,
Saw, dude.
I saw. Not much, dude. How you been, dude?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy week again.
Yeah, we're getting lucky with the friggin' juicy news, bud.
I was thinking like our first week was slow, and then there's been a major acquisition every week this year. I was gonna say one of my questions for this week was, have we done an episode that there hasn't been $1 billion acquisition? It turns out it was just that first week. There
Yeah,
was one.
that's crazy. Well, and this one now. Or was there another one for this one we haven't talked about?
This was Sony. We haven't talked about Sony yet.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, I thought that happened last week.
Yeah.
Damn.
Nope. This week.
Cool.
Last week was. Oh, I guess last week was Blizzard. No, that was 2 weeks ago. So I guess there has been a week. Last week was the only week where there wasn't $1 billion acquisition that we know of.
That's crazy, though. That's just crazy still.
Crazy stuff. $86 billion in acquisitions going around in 2022 alone. Anyways, welcome to Or It's Free. It's Thursday. Sorry we're a little late, but one of us needed to nap a little bit.
Yeah, fucking Dan. Jeez.
It's cool, man. I napped last week and you napped this week.
It was 100% me. It was me. I napped this week. I had a big old nap, and he called me, and I was like, "Oh shit, the podcast."
Yeah, but, dude. I was playing Pokemon RC Arceus and
RC Arceus. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that today, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. It hasn't been a week since that's been out. It feels like it's been out longer than that. But anyways,
but we didn't get to talk about our time with it yet, so I'm excited to dive into it with you.
But yeah, we're gonna get to do that in the first part of the show, and then we're gonna talk about some news. It was a pretty big week in terms of news that we've already kind of alluded to, and some other exciting stuff. Anyways, welcome to Or It's Free. It's our weekly gaming show here live on Twitch with myself, Dan, and Devyn, aka Dr. Ice, aka Dr. Slice, as I've called him. You can check us out every Thursday at 9 p.m. ish on Twitch TV /theslicetO, and the following day on all our streaming platforms. You can also check us out on YouTube, where we will post up today's episode tomorrow, as well as on demand here on Twitch tomorrow. For social media, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at @theslicetO, and myself at DO_XCI. And Devyn is decommissioned his social media, so you can't find him anywhere. But on Twitter, he's there. It's exciting. He's in the Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
You can check us out on there at Dr_1CE. Little photo? Is that it?
What? No, I said I don't take a lot of pictures, so I don't use Instagram very much.
Take more photos.
I don't know what the other one is. Maybe TikTok. I could get a TikTok. I don't take videos, but I'll watch videos. There's funny stuff on there. And a lot of game tips.
I miss Vine. TikTok kind of replaced Vine. Remember Vine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. TikTok is very, very viney.
It's viney. Check us out on Instagram, where we'll be posting some fun content between episodes, including a screen cap of last week's episode where Devyn and I were deliberating over $70 billion acquisitions, and I got a nice little screen cap, and you can see our faces.
Oh, yeah. Because we're, that's an amount of money that we know how to handle, for sure. We're definitely qualified to talk about that amount of money,
yeah. Yeah.
We're not. Anyways, that's why it's fun. Yeah. You see what kind of weird stuff we come up with.
Man, so many things. $70 billion. Jesus Christ. All right. Every Sunday, we'll also post up our streaming schedule for the week, where we'll do some streaming together and solo, but we'll be playing some fun stuff pretty much kind of randomly. We haven't really posted up our schedules, but we have been going live at least multiple times a week. We played some Borderlands this week, played some Halo as always, played some Pokemon last week as it came out at midnight. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. You can check us out. There's a lot of great games coming out this month, which we're excited to share our first experiences with, as well as some old classics that we are diving into for the first time, including Borderlands 3, which is a lot of fucking fun.
Classics.
That's it.
2019.
Classics, yeah, 2019. I mean, a lot of people love Borderlands. It's a classic in some circles.
Well, the first one, I think. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. The series is like beloved.
I dropped a pop figure.
Oh, better than a pop. A pop figure is not so bad. I thought you dropped a pop.
Soda.
Yeah, you dropped a soda.
I dropped the soda by. All right, let's get started, man. What have we been playing this week? There's been some game releases and some new stuff that we've jumped into, which I feel peer pressured into playing, but I'm quite enjoying now. But what did you play this week, man?
Definitely Arceus. So yeah, that was a game that went from like very meh to very like, yeah, I want this game pretty quickly, and Yeah, it's been pretty fun. I think they did a good job not showing a lot of the game. So once you got in, you were like, oh, there's more to this game than they showed off. Like it seemed like they showed a whole bunch of it. But yeah, the depth of the mechanics is really like refreshing, because I thought it was going to be like a watered down version of Pokemon, but like as far as the battling goes, it's almost like more in depth, like as far as like agile style and strong style, and like that's pretty much it. But like that's like it's just another like strategic element to the fighting that they never had before. And then of course like the strategy of catching Pokemon is so much more like interesting now. It's not just like paralyze them and get them low health and throw a Pokeball at them. Like in some ways it kind of is, but it's just a lot more like involved, which is really nice. But yeah, so playing that's been really fun. And just like the whole like, I guess like the shift in direction or concept is like you could tell before it was about like becoming the Pokemaster, but now the shift is more becoming like you're becoming like the original like Pokemon discoverer kind of thing. Like you're the one going out and getting all the information, as opposed to just like beating the shit out of everybody in Pokeland. So that feels really cool, and I'm excited to like see where that goes. And I seen someone do like a mock-up of a couple covers of like, okay, I'm ready for this, and it was like Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh, and it was the big tower with Ho-Oh on top, and I was like, oh my god, yes, like I would want to play that so bad. And then there was another one with like Rayquaza or something. So like if they continue the series and go that route with it, I think that'll be super super cool. Because I don't really know Diamond and Pearl that well, so there's also a level that I hear in the game of like callbacks and nostalgia to like you're kind of like meeting people that you knew in Diamond and Pearl, like their relatives and stuff, and like I didn't really play those games as much, so I don't have that level of like familiarity with it. So I would like to like if I had that as well in the game, it would be like so much better, but it's still really really good, super fun, really really liking it. And then yeah, okay, peer pressure I guess is completely fair. Every time it went on sale, I was like, buy it, buy it. So we started playing Borderlands 3 because we've been playing Outriders and a couple other games, which I think we're gonna probably hop on Borderlands after this is done. Um, I figure like yeah, it was a good mix of like what we had been playing and like you had never experienced it before. So I was like, I think like once you start playing it, you'll kind of get it, and like I think that's sort of been true for the most part. You're kind of like, okay, like I think like mechanically it's super solid. There's so many different types of guns. Visually, it's really really pretty. Like they really have like locked in that cell shaded look that they have going. Like all these other crazy effects, and I actually remember I didn't think about this yesterday, but the very first Borderlands on PC actually had this crazy like NVIDIA cloth tech in it, where you could like shoot the top of a piece of fabric and it would like fall down like all realistically. So even back then it was like kind of like cutting edge, even though it looked cartoony, it still has this like, I don't know, like heavy horsepower underneath it that you don't really realize until you play it. And you're like, okay, there's a lot going on in this game. And I think we're maybe like an hour or two into that game. We've done one or two of the like main quests. We got the vehicles going. So we're like getting a little bit into it, but we still haven't really like cracked it open yet. So like, I'm excited for like a couple times you've mentioned like, oh, this game's fucking huge, but like, I don't even think you realize yet how big it's going to get. And then once it actually opens up, like, yeah, there's just so much to do. It's a pretty cool game. Although we did have some technical issues at the beginning, but we got them figured out with a quick little turn it off and on again. And then I think aside from that, dude, I don't think that's been it. Those have been taking up most of my time. We started playing a bit more Halo again, so that's been back in my life because that never goes away. And I guess the other thing is I've been playing Valorant again. A bunch of my friends have been really into it, so I've been hopping on and playing a few rounds with them. But yeah, not much to say about that game. It's just cool, like strategic shooter. Really feels like it's all aim and peeking and who can get the best reaction time and stuff. So it feels pretty technical. It's pretty fun. But what about you? What have you been playing?
Yeah, a lot of the same. I'll say really quickly when you were talking about Pokemon, I thought you said Rayquaza for a second, and it made me laugh for two reasons. One is I thought about Rayquan being a Pokemon, and then also Kwanzaa, which is also um, an interesting integration into a legendary Pokemon's name. Anyways, um, yeah, I've been playing Arceus, which I've been really enjoying. It's to your point, like a pretty solid deviation from the Pokemon formula, with like enough familiarity that it really does feel like a refreshing Pokemon game. It reminds me of kind of when I first picked up Pokemon when I was a kid. Not that like I remember what that experience was like, but um, it just gives me that sense of like just excitement diving into a Pokemon universe again, and like it just feeling fresh and new. And it definitely has its things that are
I can't
not
believe I
great.
didn't talk about the visuals. Yeah, but keep going.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say like yeah, visually it's not great. Performance wise, I mean it's on the Switch, so it's not tremendous. But I will say like as a Switch game, as far as the Switch game goes, like it's fine. Um, the Pokemon games have not really been known for their visual fidelity. But there's certain things that you kind of mentioned, like the textures in the dirt and the grass and some of the draw distance and like texture pop it and stuff like that is pretty atrocious. And Jesus Christ, does Nintendo need to step up its technical game in some games?
There's
Even though the Switch,
some scenes specifically, like you could see a character would have like a crisp face and their shirt would just be like super fuzzy, and it's like it wouldn't be as bad if they didn't have them in the same scene right next to each other like that. So your eyes are just like, oh, like what is this shirt supposed to even be? Like it looks so bad sometimes.
yeah, it's not a technical feat by any stretch of the imagination, but it does look pretty good. I'd say on the OLED Switch, the colors pop. The
The
Pokemon
actual
look pretty
Pokemon look
great.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pokemon character models are great. The fact that they have the old Pokemon audio in it, like patched in, so like they make the red and blue noises, I find pretty entertaining that they didn't
The
update
moves
that.
look really cool. Actually, I find a lot of them were updated and they look badass now.
Yeah, the evolution sequence looks really cool. I love the fact that as a trainer, you can go up right next to the enemy Pokemon and like talk shit in its ear as your
Yeah,
Pokemon's attacking it.
yeah, that's my
I
favorite part.
I hope they have like a taunt button at some point where you can just be like "fuck you, Geodude,"
Or
and
just
as your
like you could
Pokemon's
point.
attacking it.
I just want a button where you
Yeah,
could just point all the time and go
yeah,
up and just wet
just
willy him
like
over and over again.
just flip them off. Do it next to an alpha Pokemon. Um, but yeah, a lot of fun in that. Probably about maybe 5 hours in, so not like a tremendous amount in, but a lot of side quests done. I've gotten, I think, to the second area now. I've done some night missions, seen some pretty cool Pokemon. So yeah, enjoying that quite a bit. Um, and then yeah, I mean, we started Borderlands. Borderlands is a lot of fun. Really enjoying the visuals in that game, just kind of the zaniness of it. It's a nice little palate cleanser from some of the other shooters that we've been playing lately that are a little bit more realistic, including Halo and Outriders, which kind of takes itself seriously. Um, and we've had a lot of fun, I think, just playing a myriad of different shooters that are all kind of have their own merits to them. If I think back to like October, like going from Splitgate to Halo to Borderlands to Outriders to I'm probably missing something
Traction.
else.
Like,
Yeah, Extraction's the other one that we kind of played. So we've been kind of making our way through some first person games, which is great, and some shooters in general. Sorry, not just first person. But yeah, it's been fun kind of playing that and playing stuff multiplayer a little bit more, even Torchlight and some of those other games. So I'm really enjoying that. So Borderlands, yep. And then on the PlayStation side of things, I really haven't played my PlayStation very much lately, but I did want to beat Kena Bridge of Spirits. So I've been putting some pretty decent time into that. That game is gorgeous. I know I talked about it last week. I haven't played a ton since last week. I think I played for a few hours yesterday, and I'm just clearing out some of the puzzles and the collectibles. Um, and then just a very very small session yesterday of Ghost of Tsushima Legends with Mike, which was a lot of fun. Man, that's a game that it's been a while since I've played it, but there's so much more to go back to. I completely forgot about the DLC for that game that came out back in October, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even think it was October. It might have been August. Like it's been out for a while now, but I haven't gotten through that yet. So prior to Horizon, I think the plan right now is to beat um, fuck, I don't even know where to go with anything right now. I guess we're gonna play Borderlands, but I want to beat Kena and Ghost of Tsushima, and then probably play a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn before Forbidden West comes out in a couple of weeks. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much everything. There's some exciting stuff coming up this week that I figured maybe we could talk about really quickly.
okay,
Um,
yeah.
but this month is we've been kind of alluding to February being this really busy month, but it starts tomorrow with Dying Light, which is getting some relatively mediocre reviews. Sounds like there's a lot of technical issues and some stuff, so I'll be holding off on Dying Light, even though I was excited for it. Um, and then Sifu comes out next week, which is
Sifu.
uh, Sifu, sorry.
Learned about this word
Uh,
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, Sifu's coming out next week. It looks great. It's
It
been a
does
lot
look
of
cool,
great
yeah.
a lot of great stuff that's come out just visually. I believe they're the makers of the studio made. I was just reading about it actually a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
They
what?
are known for. It's another Absolver. So the game.
Oh, sick. Yeah, yeah, that game's awesome.
Yeah. So they are the developers of Absolver, and Sifu is coming out soon. A Parisian developer founded in 2015. So this is their second game. Super stoked. Absolver was received very well by critics and everybody I know that played it, including
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
Devin.
I highly recommend that game if you've never played it before. It's really cool, unique. It's got a cool art style, much
It
like
was
this
on
game does.
it's on Game Pass. I think the same year that Below and a couple of other games. Ashen came out. I think it was part of that stretch of games.
Yeah, it
But
does
yeah, it
remind
looked
me of
beautiful.
Ashen too. It's the same kind of clay like art style.
Yeah, yeah, looks great. So that's out next week, and then we've got Horizon Forbidden West is out on the 18th, followed by Elden Ring on the 23rd. I'm gonna pull up to see if there's anything else I'm missing. There's another game actually that's coming out this week that I'm excited about called Ollie Ollie World, which is a skateboarding game, which
Yeah.
is getting some really great reviews right now.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that game too. The first couple Ollie
Yeah,
Ollies were really good.
yeah, I've heard. I heard this is really kind of like a jump up from in quality from the previous ones too. Crossfire X is coming to Game Pass this week, which is developed by Control developer Remedy Studios or Remedy Entertainment. Um, we've got Destiny, The Witch Queen is coming out this month as well. For those of you that are still playing Destiny, King of Fighters, um, lots of stuff coming out this month. So this is a pretty busy
Dude, you
spring
forgot one,
kickoff.
man.
What did I miss?
Yo, I'm gonna just sit here until you remember. I'm offended.
No, I already said it. That's why you're offended. I said the 18th is Forbidden West. I said Elden Ring is out on the 23rd.
Yeah!
Your
I'm so
fucking mic just
excited.
flipped.
I'm so
All I
excited
heard is
for it.
yeah, and then it stopped.
Oh, it's just kind of clicking in that it's like this month, and I can't wait. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, dude, it's gold already, so it's coming. It's coming soon. 3 weeks, basically, just
Mm,
a little bit over 3 weeks away. Excited to get your ass beat in that game.
yep.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
so yeah, busy month coming up. So I definitely want to clear out a little bit of the backlog before going into what's sure to be a very busy 2022, but starting with February and March, and kind of into April, I guess as well. There's gonna be a lot of games coming out. So brace yourselves, y'all. I will be. Devin, you will be. Most people will be, I assume. Anyways, lots of news to cover this week. So
A
let's
lot of
talk
people are.
about what
Yeah.
happened. Devin, do you
Oh,
want
oh,
to talk about the big news or?
there's a bunch of news, right? But I guess the big news, I guess, was the acquisition you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
So there's another big old acquisition of Vidge Games. Sony purchased Bungie, the studio behind Destiny and Destiny 2 and the Destiny expansions. How much did they buy them for? That's the one thing in the story I don't really know. Was it 2 point
Three
something?
point
Oh,
six billion.
there you go. 3.6 billies to get Destiny on. I don't know. Was the goal to have it Sony exclusive? Is that going to be the.
Nope, it'll be remaining multiplayer. I could talk a little bit more about the intricacies of kind of what they've discussed since then, but
Yeah, the only other thing I heard was that they were going to help them try to push the franchise to like TV and movies, and that's
yep.
really the only other thing I kind of heard about the deal. But yeah, so what else? What are the nitty gritties of that one?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to talk about. I guess there's definitely some possibilities that I'd love to discuss in terms of what I think this is important for. Um, but there's been I think Jim Ryan actually talked about the fact that it's going to remain multi-platform. It sounds like Bungie is going to operate relatively autonomously under the PlayStation Studios banner, so there won't be a lot of involvement. I really do think that the acquisition is bigger than just getting Destiny. Um, there was also news the next day that talked about how PlayStation is planning on uh, releasing upwards of 10 live service games by 2024, I believe, 2024, 2026. And so I think from what we've heard about the PlayStation Studios collaborations, where they've used each other's tech and some studios have supported other studios, that I think Bungie will just be lending a hand in a lot of different projects that are going on within the Sony framework. If I think about some of the hiring positions, Naughty Dog is working on a multiplayer game. Ghost of Tsushima obviously had its multiplayer component. Insomniac was hiring a little while back for a multiplayer game. So there are quite a few multiplayer projects that are in progress at Insomniac. Um, and so I do think that there's a pretty good chance that part of it is not just let's get a big studio with a big title, but rather this big studio is going to be able to allow us to be able to have a better understanding of the space that we're ultimately trying to get to in the near future. If I'm talking on, if I'm in Sony shoes right now, obviously. So I think that that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle. And with it staying multiplayer, Destiny has become a pretty beloved franchise across all platforms. I own it on Xbox. They obviously had the agreement last year with Game Pass to bring the DLC to Game Pass without any extra pay. And so I think they're probably going to maintain that relationship. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting acquisition, but I do think it makes sense. Sony and Bungie have had a good relationship over the years. I think Bungie probably has a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth from working with Activision,
Yeah.
because they left that relatively quickly. And yeah, I mean, Sony's been known to kind of take care of its, I guess, devs for the last little bit. So it seems like kind of a natural um, partnership, if you will, that probably has a lot of long-standing uh, consequences in the future, but we don't know what that's going to quite look like just yet. And one more piece I will add before I hand it back over to you, Devin, to get your thoughts is that there was also a report the next day that Sony was basically pumping $1.2 billion into employee retention. So the idea is that they want to keep all of this Bungie talent on board rather than having a potential mass exodus, as it sometimes does happen when there are big corporate buyouts like this. The intent, it sounds like, from Sony is to make sure that they're keeping that talent on board, which I think lends credence to what I was just talking about. They definitely want people that understand the business of live service games. And yeah, those are the big pieces. So what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think you kind of like. I think I agree with you. Like based on the last point, like at first I was like, okay, like Bungie, I guess is an interesting acquisition, and like it's interesting from Bungie's perspective, considering like like they were at Microsoft and they left Microsoft for Freedom, and then got picked up by Acquisition, and then left like that or Acquisition, Activision, and then left Activision for Freedom again, and then now gets picked up by Sony. But I think the act of like publicly announcing that you've put money into keeping the employees like is a pretty good move that sort of says like we don't just want the Bungie name, like we want the people at Bungie and what they're doing, which I think like maybe they don't feel like that after being acquired so many times. Like, and I think you're right. Like, yeah, a lot of people probably think, oh shit, we just got acquired by some huge behemoth. Like, let's jump ship or let's start our own studio or whatever else happens at the time. So yeah, I think that was a pretty solid move on their part to like take a part of that money and be like, hey, yeah, if you want to stay, some moolah for you.
There's also some financial reporting from within Sony that they had budgeted about $18 billion to spend in studio acquisitions this year, um, and so they've used up about I think $8 billion of that budget between Bungie and some of their other acquisitions, probably dating back to last year, and so they've got about $10 billion left in budget. And they did mention that there are many more studio acquisitions in the future. So I'm sure that there's going to be more of this coming down the pipeline. I've given up my battle. I know a couple weeks ago I pleaded that nobody do any more big studio acquisitions, but fuck it, man. It's probably going to happen weekly apparently in 2022. So I think it's yeah. I mean, I don't really care, to be quite honest with you. I'm glad that the employees are getting kind of a stipend so that they can uh, stay with Bungie, and I think that that's going to be awesome for them. Bungie is obviously a legendary developer at this point, from developing Destiny and Halo and Marathon and so many different franchises. And I'm glad they found another home and hopefully one that's a little bit better to them than Activision was. But at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to what I've been talking about, which is just big developers are just less and less independent studios. They're all under these two or three big umbrellas, and it's concerning for the future. I think obviously in the right now it's great, but as different people start to take over these big companies, the vision will change. And so I wonder if you know um, Bungie operating autonomously right now under the PlayStation Studios umbrella is going to be the same way 5, 10 years from now. And then that's where these acquisitions start to get a little bit more concerning for me. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Happy for them. Same way I was happy for all the other studio acquisitions. I think it means some great stuff for us in the future, yeah, like in the now, but just
Yeah.
concerning for the present, right? Or
Yeah,
for
and I
the
mean
future.
that's
Sorry.
if you think about like Blizzard or something like even BioWare, like those are good examples of companies that like they kind of just got infected by that corporate culture and just they turned into different companies and they're not the like indie companies they used to be.
I think there's been some big learns. I will say, like even EA, we love to shit on EA. I
Yeah,
think
no, I agree with you.
even EA has learned that like letting your studios do what they do best is probably gonna serve them well in the long run as a publisher. Um, and I think Sony so far, and I use them as the example because I think that they've been the best example of having all these studios put out these really great games. Um, that are critically acclaimed and are selling well and have been sustaining the platform for the better part of the last decade. I do think some bigger publishers are learning that you gotta separate corporate interest from allowing game developers to create great games because some of the games that are corporate driven are actually failing on a pretty massive level. I think of games like Battlefield and
Yeah,
Cyberpunk just a little bit over a year ago. Like these games have like fallen flat on their face, and they're from what were once renowned developers under massive billion-dollar publishers. Um, Anthem, another example of a game that was probably a little bit more driven by a lack of vision from BioWare, but also from a timeline that was probably introduced by some sort of corporation, whether it be a committee or whether it be EA publishers. But I don't want to get too into detail, but yeah, I think it's anytime you can get a big buyout like this and a company works autonomously underneath the big umbrella and just has bigger resources. And I think specifically for Destiny and Bungie, the fact that they're going to be able to utilize some of Sony's maybe even movie studios and their partnerships with HBO and some of the other networks that they've been working with, we might see a pretty substantial expansion of the Destiny franchise as a multimedia platform because the games have been kind of the only place for Destiny content. I think it's pretty exciting that they could eventually be a TV show that explores the lore of Destiny because the games really don't do an amazing job of doing it.
and the trailers were like pretty sick. Those live action trailers they had for
Yeah,
Destiny with what's his name as
Cade.
Cade. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like yeah,
yeah,
those were awesome.
yeah. There's a lot of possibility, a lot of exciting stuff that could happen as a result of this, of all the acquisitions. But yeah, it's some exciting stuff. There's a war going on for studio acquisitions right now. Even
Totally.
EA said this week that they're looking at what makes sense for them too, forgetting that EA was the subject of rumors of them even being potentially bought out by Sony or Microsoft, and now they're looking to get in on the pot and try to pick up acquisitions themselves.
That's
It's pretty
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, any thoughts on this stuff? I know I talked quite a bit about it. Um, I to be fair, I did listen to some podcasts that kind of just talked about it, but
Mhm. No, like in general, I think it seems like I was reading an article that was talking about like where things are going, and it seems like this is like an industry changing thing, like as instead of it being like a I don't know, some kind of monopoly, is like it just seems like the industry is changing to like having these three or two or three big juggernaut like software production companies with like all these other companies underneath them. It's like maybe that's just the modern age of gaming now. Like that's just how things are going to work now. Is to make it. You kind of attach yourself to one of those three, or it's kind of like how I guess like phones sort of have that sort of two or three company monopoly. Like it's not like it's one company that's taking it over. There's gonna because people are saying like, oh, it's bad for competition and stuff, but it's like like Sony's not going to buy Microsoft, or like they're not going to buy Nintendo. Like those, there's still going to be like at least those three pillars and maybe a few others. Like they're going to always have those like Stadias and stuff that try to like enter the game. So I don't think it's a particularly bad thing like people are saying. It's definitely like something to keep an eye on. And like, yeah, like you said, I think like depending on how much influence the like parent company wants to like sprinkle down to its studios, like that's really going to determine like how they perform like once they get acquired. So hopefully like, you know, I guess they're going to get, maybe one will get known more than others for being like the one that lets you do what you want, which seems like not, I don't think either Microsoft or Sony are doing that. Like I don't think they're pulling in any of those studios and being like, hey, you need to do this for us now. Like I think they're just saying, hey, we like what you do, you're under us now, keep doing what you do. Like, and I feel like I like that attitude of acquisition. Like that's cool with me. So I think overall I'm kind of like, I'm meh on it, but generally I don't really care.
I do like the idea of studios picking up the talent rather than the IP. I think that that's where the Bungie acquisition, um, the whole idea of keeping the talent that's there. I think if we see more of that in these big acquisitions, I think that that's going to be really exciting. And I think you saw that with the Activision one as well. A lot of people that worked for Activision were excited that the reign of terror of Bobby Kotick was going to come to an end, even though he was making a third of $1 billion to leave. At
Yeah.
least the culture might shift. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting future. I think we're going to see. I honestly do think this is going to be a massive year, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Obviously, I think the Activision Blizzard one is probably going to be the biggest one. Um, but there's going to be some other ones that are pretty impactful. I think at some point this year, we just don't know what they are yet. Um, Probably some guesses. Do you want to maybe take a guess at what the next big acquisition might be?
Honestly, I feel like you said the EA one, and I'm like, yeah, like that's another one that I could see plausible. Or another one that I've heard a few times that I think is also plausible is Sega. I could see Microsoft buying Sega for like a Japanese presence because they have, I think Atlas is under Sega, and there's like a few other studios that make some pretty like Eastern centric games that I think like they need to really like get a foothold on. So yeah, I could see them doing that just to be different. I'll say that. But then the other one, yeah, is EA, and I don't know. Again, I feel like Microsoft would be the one to buy EA. I can't see Sony buying them for some reason. I don't know why, but it just seems like that would be something Microsoft would want, especially having the like Origin integration with Game Pass and stuff. Like it's already halfway there. And like maybe Ubisoft. I don't know if they're like too big, but I think maybe Ubisoft could be bought out, and that would be insane. But they might be too big for that. I don't know. And that's my thoughts. What about you? What are your predictions? What do you think is going to be?
I think just based off of their recent relationship, I could see Square Enix getting bought out by PlayStation.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Um, just with the exclusivity agreements for Final Fantasy VII and Stranger of Paradise coming out soon, and Final Fantasy 16 being announced as a PlayStation either timed exclusive or exclusive. I could see that possibly. I don't really know. Square Enix owns a lot of other studios too, so I don't know how that would work with with Eidos and all that kind of stuff. So we'd have to see, but that's a guess. I think that it's more likely that we see EA pick up other studios than EA be bought, just based off of how they kind of talked about wanting to get in on the action. So I could actually see EA buying, maybe not Sega, but like a studio of that caliber, like something that has IP that they want to bring back and kind of bolster their own first party lineup. I think losing the Star Wars license is probably going to be sizable for them. Obviously, they're making Star Wars games, but like I think they'd probably like to pick up something, um, just that allows them to be able to be that big publisher again. I could potentially even see EA picking up. I don't even know. I wouldn't say Square Enix. I think Square Enix is probably going to stay with one of the Japanese companies if they do end up getting bought out. Um, but yeah, I could see EA buying a studio as well. I don't know which one yet. If I looked at it, I'd probably have to guess like maybe CD Project Red or something like that. I don't know.
No, no. CD
Um,
Project is part of, or CD Project Red is already part of CD Project, which is like pretty big. Like, remember they're
are
like
they?
they own GOG and, well, I mean, Because I was thinking that before when you said you called them like a developer that like were like, you know, like they had a pretty good reputation, but it's like they really just made The Witcher 3 that like everybody really loved. Like people like The Witcher 2 as well. Like The Witcher 1 was kind of a niche. 1 and 2 I think both were pretty niche, but then I kind of thought, yeah, you know what, after The Witcher 3 they really did get really big. They have like the Gwent game. They have their own website where they sell games and stuff. Like they're like a pretty big company. And like Project Red is just like a small part of it.
I was going to say EA assets are around $11 billion.
Damn.
And CD Projekt is around $3 billion right now.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's not very much. Well, I mean, it is, you know, but
their net income last year was $1 billion, and they're valued at around, if I look at their market cap, about $3 billion. So, that'd be risky unless GOG gets integrated into Origin or something. I don't know. But honestly, it's kind of the Wild West. I don't really know what to expect here, but I could see some acquisition of that, like in the tens of billions of dollars, because how many are left? So I could see them potentially, some multi-billion-dollar company buying a lesser billion-dollar company at some point this year. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of these things that we hear about in the near future. So we'll see what happens.
Wake up, yeah. We're gonna wake up random days and just be like, holy crap.
Holy shit. I'm bought now. I belong to Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So we've got the Sony news. Some other stuff I'd like to talk about, but anything else news-wise that kind of came across your desk this week that got you excited?
Not I wanted to mention this briefly because it's been like sort of talked about, and it's kind of silly how it's been happening, like kind of like cut and paste with a lot of people. But I just wanted to briefly, and hopefully people are okay with this, bring up the whole idea of like NFTs in video games. Because I don't know if you've been seeing some of the tweets that have been happening, but Team 17 was one of them. Troy Baker is another one, where they basically came out. Oh, I think is it the Metro team? There's a couple of them. But anyways, so they came out and they were like, we gonna do NFT stuff with our video games. And people were like, that's fucking dumb, dude. That's fucking bullshit. And then all of them were like, okay, we're not going to do NFT stuff with our video games. Thanks for telling us. And just kind of like, they have it's almost like the time between them announcing it and them saying they're not going to do it is getting shorter and shorter. The people are making jokes that like, oh man, some developer's going to tweet that like they're going to do NFTs and then they're not going to do NFTs in the same tweet. But it's just been a funny thing. Even I was just reading like Ubisoft's, one of their executives were saying like people don't like, they just didn't understand like NFTs, so that's why it didn't like go well. So they're kind of just like totally like the PR for it has been so like silly and really ridiculous. But all I'll say is like as far as that stuff goes, like just like go and do your own research on it and like learn about what it is and like then decide if you think it's dumb or not. Because like I'm not gonna try to sway your opinion. I don't have one or plan on buying one, but I just thought those stories were so silly and excuse me, they're video game related. Oh my god, I'm dying.
Yeah, the whole NFT dialogue has been really weird across not just gaming, I think in general, because it seems like it's populating a big part of everybody's space right now.
Yeah.
There is actually quite a few moments. So I was just reading actually right before we jumped on that Nike is suing StockX for NFT distribution on its own platform.
Oh shit.
And it's because of the likeness of sneakers that they're selling NFTs. But somebody brought up a point. I forget, like somebody, Sneaker Savant or somebody on like Twitter, posted a large article about how like StockX basically making its own platform of NFTs is not the point of NFTs. Like that's not a true NFT. You're just paying for basically artwork of something, but you don't. I don't know. I can't get into the intricacies of it, but the dialogue has just been really interesting because I think it's in the gaming space specifically. People definitely seem to be opposed to it, and there's a lot of developers. I think it was Ubisoft that probably started it.
They have a thing like it's called Ubisoft Quartz, and it's like that's their NFT platform.
And it like they were, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was them that they got backlash for it, and they were
Oh,
like, we
everybody
just
has, see.
yeah, everybody has, but I think they were one of the ones that like doubled down and were like, our audience just doesn't get what NFTs are.
Yeah, yeah, that was
And
it.
it's
Yeah.
like, well, if your audience doesn't understand it, then who are you making them for? Like, if your audience isn't excited by this news, then what the fuck are you doing, Ubisoft? Like, are you like, that's your audience? That's exactly who you're trying to appeal to by
Yeah,
making
right.
a decision like this. And if they're like, we don't get it, we don't want it, and Ubisoft's like, you just don't get it, you want it, and they're like, well, we don't, and there's just kind of this weird standoffness. Like, that's really strange to me. Do I think that NFTs will like have a future? Absolutely. I just don't think they live in like right now the way that NFTs are working. It's just like it's what cartoon monkeys and shit. Like there hasn't been like a real like scenario in which I've even seen like, oh, there's value in an NFT there, like other than an investment. Like if you have the capital to buy an NFT and then trade it at a higher like value, sure, but I don't have, and I'm sure you don't have the capital to go out and buy a $30,000 drawing of a monkey and then selling it for 35 and making five grand on it, whatever. And it seems like from my basic understanding of it, that's what the reality is of the NFT market right now. Like there really isn't much else to it.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any like affordable. Well, I mean, I don't really know. I haven't really looked at the prices on this. I don't know. Maybe there are
I
affordable
don't
ones.
either. Like I did see something this week that was affordable, but I was like, I just don't understand what to do with this. Like that my like I own this, but I don't care that I own a digital license for this. Like I don't. I just doesn't. It doesn't make anything. It doesn't do anything for me. And then the
Yeah.
other big piece that this week, unrelated to gaming, was Kanye West actually put out a thing saying, "Stop asking me about fucking NFTs. I'm not doing an
I saw
NFT."
that. Yeah. He
And
did
I was
say,
like,
"Ask me later," though.
he did say ask me later, but I think he probably is in that space where he also was just like I make real products. Like he seems to be a pretty good visionary for getting on board with whether it's fashion or whether it's like something early, like his whole stem player technology and the way that he kind of foresaw the digital age of music and like editing and stuff like that. Like if I think back to Watch the Throne, they didn't press that CD because they knew that that was the way that bootlegging was going to kind of get beat, is you do digital distribution first and then you do physical distribution after, and then that's the way that the music industry's gone for the last 10 years. Like for him to not kind of be on board of it, like on board with it early in its early stages, is just kind of a measure of like maybe it just doesn't make sense to him. Maybe he just hasn't spent the time to understand it, but like I don't, he seems to be a pretty good barometer for what the future is going to look like in any space, like him or not. And it's kind of strange to me that he's seemingly opposed to it at the moment. He said ask me later, but I think that that's going to be something where like it has to provide value, I think, in some way, and I don't think it does for right now. Like I don't know anybody, I mean, in my immediate circle of people that I know that are excited about NFTs, or like look at them and are like they're fucking like I just don't. I haven't encountered anybody like that that's been able to explain it to me, or even cares enough to explain it to me, because they also don't care, or they don't see the value in it yet.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know if you have a different experience with it, but that's been mine so far. Like, and I've seeked it out. It's not like I'm sitting here waiting for some NFTs. I just don't know anybody that gives a shit. Truly.
yeah. I definitely like did a little bit of research because I was curious of like, I was like, yeah, I want to like learn about what it is and how it works. I did the same with like Bitcoin and crypto and stuff. It's like I just like looked it up just to kind of understand it a little bit more and watched a couple videos like from different people to try to like get different perspectives on things and different opinions, because like you don't want to just watch one video and be like, yeah, I get it now. And I think like I understand how it can be useful, and I get like especially like the way that Ubisoft presented it. I played a little video when you were talking about Quartz, but the whole idea of like think about like the hockey games, like think about NHL for instance, like Ultimate Team. Like if you could get a card in that game, and then when the next NHL comes out, like you can keep that card and like it has significant value like a real physical card does. Like I understand that side of it, but the amount that things cost right now is just like not for anybody. Like it's not in something that I can afford, and it, like you said, it's like I see the price and I'm like, I don't even give a shit. Like why do I want a picture of a monkey with like random objects on his face for like tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions? Like it's just like owning that object has, like you said, there's no function for that for me. And it's like, maybe some people are into that. So like, I just, whatever, like let them do their own thing. But I think like at some point, because I think the whole idea is right now, like marking or like owning something digitally is difficult. Like it's hard to like attach ownership to something in a digital space and it allows you to do that, which is helpful, I think. But like, I just think it's really early, and like the uses for it right now are pretty like few and far between, and until they figure out the energy situation, like they gotta figure that one out too, because you can't be like making like you can't be using like actual resources that we need to live for like intangible assets. Like it's just kind of a silly, it doesn't make any sense, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's a good, like from what I understand on a very basic level is that if Hockey Ultimate Team, if a card lives on the blockchain and you can carry it throughout games and it retains value, like that's cool. Like that definitely is something that I'd be into, because I've spent real money on coins and probably MLB more than any other game, but not very much, to be fair. But like maybe like $20, I think, for 2022. I don't even know. Probably in 21, I don't think I spent any real funds, but in 19 and 20, I definitely probably spent about maybe 20 or $30 each.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's cards that I would love to carry over, like last year's version of Ken Griffey Jr. or whatever. But and the games do that right now. To be fair, like you can get that same card, but you have to re-earn it. So I see what you're saying is if it's a digital marketplace for ownership of that card, that you could then put it in like a gallery or like a space that you can
Yeah.
kind of visit. Whatever, like sure, that's
Or
cool. Like that's
trade, like then it attaches a value to the card, so when you trade with someone, it's like there's a direct like
yeah,
monetary value that you're gonna get back for it too. Like
yeah, yeah. I get that, and that seems like a use that like that's cool. But even then, like that's a very specific. Like in sports games, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially in those like hut modes. But in some
oh
of the
yeah.
other spaces, I don't know how it would be how it would be deployable and also interest me in the same. So again, I haven't spent enough time like learning about it, but
Yeah.
it's just
So Mike Shinoda made a little comment about it, and his idea was, so take the idea of like the card, but like a skin. So like say you have an M16 with like a skin that, let's say, Mike Shinoda designed it, and then you play Call of Duty Warzone and you could play with this Mike Shinoda skin, but then you go and play Fortnite and you pick up the M16 and you could also use your Mike Shinoda skin on the M16. And that's what he was kind of like, that was his point, was like, oh, you could have a skin that you could bring across to like these other games. But like I kind of laughed at that because I was like, I think that's a little ignorant from like a game development perspective, because like, you know, like they have to make a standard for that to work. Like you can't just like, that's not how skins work. I can't just like move the skin file into Fortnite and it's just gonna work on the M16. Like you gotta
yeah,
you gotta make a whole new skin. Like it's not that easy. Like so he was kind of just
Well,
like, but I think that's
I
like I could get what he was saying, but it was just like, you know, it's not that easy to do.
but I wonder if that's like how some people that are advocating for them, it's being put to them. Like I don't know if Mike Shinoda, and not to question Mike Shinoda's expertise, he probably knows more about NFTs if he's invested in it than I do.
Yeah,
But at the end of
agreed.
the
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
like how many people that are also pushing NFTs are fully aware of like the reality of which that it's going to be applicable. To your point, like he's not a game developer. He doesn't. I don't know if he's a game developer, if he does it in his spare time
Yeah,
for
maybe he is too. I don't know
projects.
that.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's funny that you said Mike Shinoda, and I'll tell you why after. But Mike Shinoda, I just don't know how many people are probably being not duped. Like there's smart people that are investing money, but they're probably easy to hustle and grift as well.
It's,
Like
yeah, it's happening, dude. Yeah.
they just don't absorb, like it's being pitched to them as like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? Don't you want to be a part of this where you can use this skin in like multiple games? And they're like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like here's money that I definitely have disposably that I can give to you to make that happen. And people are like, yeah, that's not what's happening right now. Like that reality that you just described to me doesn't live right now. So then
Yeah,
why are
exactly.
there
Yeah.
NFTs? Like that's where I'm getting caught and stuck with it, right?
Yeah, it seems like something that needs to be built into the next generation. Like you can't just like shoehorn that into things now. But
Yeah,
so
or we
speaking,
see it, or we
sorry,
see it at some point in this generation. It's just like they're working toward that, but it's not the reality of which it is, and it has to be affordable. I can't pay $36,000 for your skin, Mike Shinoda,
yeah,
or thirty
yeah,
six thousand
exactly.
dollars for my Ken Griffey Jr. card that I want to fucking rake in MLB
Well,
26.
you know what it's gonna
You
be
know?
though. Is like there's gonna be the $16 Mike Shinoda skin, and then there's gonna be the super cool one with the like Mike Shinoda sound effects. That's gonna be the $16,000 one.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I want that one. If I'm gonna get the Mike Shinoda skin, I want the best Mike Shinoda skin. I don't want the fucking budget Mike Shinoda skin. You know what I mean? Like
it's just like Mike Shinoda in pencil scratched on the gun.
spray paint. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But I saw,
that was
speaking of people getting duped, I saw a story about there's a streamer, his name is Ice Poseidon, and he basically created his own cryptocurrency. It kind of has to do with this. So he created his own cryptocurrency, and the whole purpose of it was to try to support other streamers so that they could kind of like use that as a pool to like, support their streams and whatever. I don't know the details of how it was supposed to work. But anyways, people dumped a bunch of money into this coin to raise its value. And it got up to the point where it was around like $400,000 or $500,000, I believe, maybe 300,000. I can look this up. I believe it was 400,000. And this guy took all the money out. People dumped all this money in, and this guy yanked out $400,000. And then nobody could deposit, like nobody could take out money after, because there was nothing, like basically like the holding tank for the cryptocurrency, like that gives it its value. Like he just took all the money out of it. So then if you had any of those crypto and you tried to like sell it, there you didn't get any money because he took it all.
Yeah,
like,
like
it's a perfect example.
Is this not is this not going to be a breeding ground for people like that? Like,
yeah, it's like you said, it's like if you don't go and learn yourself and try to understand it, like you're gonna get fucked over by someone. Like
you're gonna get duped. Yeah.
100%.
Anyways, the Mike Shinoda point I was gonna say earlier is there's a great Mike Shinoda song called "Spray Paint and Ink Pens," which is Ghostface Killer, Lupe Fiasco, and Mike Shinoda. Check it out. I listened to it the other day and it's fucking great.
Cool. Yeah, that's a cool mix of people.
Some throwback Lupe, Wu-Tang, and Mike Shinoda. I think it was Ghostface. Let me double check this. Hang on.
Looks like we're at an hour here, so you want to take a break and then come back for some Borderlands?
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing though, because this was exciting this week. Not necessarily gaming news, but I think exciting. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. This week was the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, which is also coincides with the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy period. And we got some really cool, I don't know if you want to bring it up here, Dev, if you can, but there's some pretty cool artwork that was released.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Fantasy VII anniversary. And there was some news that they'd be talking about part 2. I saw that, yeah. Yeah, some great artwork here. So that looks awesome.
They're all in the tweet, so.
Yeah, they look so cool.
Yeah, I dig it.
Love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, they also talked about how we would be seeing Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 this year. And then also some other Final Fantasy projects that are yet to be announced that will be revealed at some point this year as well. And I'm really hoping for some sort of Crisis Core remake / remaster.
That would be sick, awesome. Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. They do put it on Switch or something or whatever. I know Ever Crisis is coming to iOS, which is going to kind of be a compound of Dirge of Cerberus and Crisis Core. But even if there's just a proper Crisis Core, either remake or remaster, it'd be fucking awesome. That game is so good.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
I got one more thing before we go. I got a video.
Sure.
I got a video.
Sure.
Okay. Check this out, guys. It's amazing. He does it so good.
This is so good, yeah.
Like you can see him doing the analog stick friggin'. Like he does the whoa, 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 whoa. He's so good at it.
This is excellent. This is the second video in as many weeks that you've sent me that's amazing. Can we watch the Mike Myers Mass Effect video again?
Yeah.
Incredible, dude.
Oh, so good. Internet's great sometimes.
So layered, dude.
Yeah, there's so many harmonies going on.
Yeah. That's amazing.
in the middle just leans back every time.
So cool.
You wanted to see the Mass Effect?
Yeah, we gotta watch Mike Myers in Mass Effect again.
Dude, there's actually there's actually a part 2, so we'll watch that one instead.
Oh fuck yes.
All right, and then we'll head out for a little break, and we'll be back for some Borderlands.
Spin a slice. Austin Powers in Mass Effect 2.
Mr. Powers has been recovered. The Lazarus Project will proceed as planned.
Pretty groovy jumbo jet, eh?
We need to ask a few questions to evaluate your condition.
Okay, name. Austin Danger Power. Sex? Yes, please.
I find myself drawn to dark, dangerous places.
I also like dangerous. Hang on, I'm gonna floor it! Watch out! Move! 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 Great, yes! No! Look, I'm not even shooting you.
I know you and Tally grew close.
I shagged her.
Really?
I shagged her rotten, baby. Does that make you horny?
You can't be serious.
Oh my god. Dude, this one might be better than the first one. Oh.
Holy shit.
All right. Take it easy, everyone. We'll
Is
see
there
you
a
little
third
bit.
one?
I don't know. Is there? That's the first one. No, there's someone reacting to
Oh.
Austin Powers and Mass Effect.
All right. Well, let's hope there's a part 3 one day.
One day. All
All
right,
right,
guys.
well.
Take it easy. We'll see you in a little bit.